Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be watching this from. Welcome to Beyond Your Radio. I'm your host, Mark Kulagowski. This is Album Review Saturdays, and we're going to go over three of the many new albums released that have graced the music multiverse recently. But before we do, we'd love for you to subscribe because we don't want you to miss out on programs like this, or Album Listen Challenge, or What's in Your Ear. We also love the likes and the comments, as always, to know what you're thinking and listening to. We don't create from a vacuum. We learn from all kinds of sources, and our listeners, watchers, commentators, our likesers, we'll call them. These are definitely people that make us aware of things, and they're great, awesome sources, not to mention other YouTube channels and websites that we visit. Now, this show is an extension of the articles and areas of our website, so get more information about the album tracks and the band members. Please visit www.beyondyourradio.com and go to the article section, and then go to Album Review Saturdays. All the episodes are there, and they're listed in. And when I list them, and you click inside, there is a video link to those that actually have video like this. Not all of the articles have video links. I'm hoping that the future this will be the case, but sometimes it was just impossible to get them done in time. Tonight, three albums, and they're listed behind. They're kind of shown behind me. So let's start with Blur, The Ballad of Darren. Well, I have every Blur album, and I probably listen to the one, each and every year, maybe a little one more than the others. There's a professionalism in the development of the album that's always an amazement when it first gets in my hand. And this CD is no exception. Their attention to detail is profound, as it always is. This is probably a concept record, but then I found out, based on the title, The Ballad of Darren, that in actuality, Darren was a bodyguard. And it seems that the band is just going to deliver on a song that was finalized finally as promised. And that they do. I just love the creative flow, the melodies, the hooks, the grooves that Damon has always floating around in his head that he shares with this band. And then, of course, with other side projects, because he's basically a Maynard Keynes. The Ballad of Dream is definitely exactly where Blur is, was, and ever shall be. What you Beatle bummed about, what you've taken coffee and TV with, or the clicking of song two, which probably you've done thousands of times over the years. There's a sonic layer, there's groovy moments, hooky lyrical propensities that can, catch you off a little off guard maybe. And of course, in your ears, beyond the instrumental deliveries and clever production techniques, Blur has grown since that 1988 in London. What? This band's nearly 40 years old? That's absolutely and utterly correct. While they don't have an album every year, everything they've put out has been a solid, tremendous effort. And it usually, while they don't lose their signature sound, they seem to maintain and be able to balance the music environment and the climate of the music environment around them. They're still inventive. They're still reinventing sounds and that work on their scale. Russian Strings is a beautiful example of how this band can morph and deliver and surprise you with the melodic development. They don't shake off their Britpop past, but they don't dwell there either. Blur fans will enjoy every inch of the record, and newcomers are going to have that catchy variety and that awareness in lyrics and course of signature that they have. Every clear vocal from Albarn and the backing harmonies that definitely get them into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame eventually, I would assume. Just so you're aware, the Rabbi, the Swan, and Sticks and Stones are only on deluxe editions. The Japanese deluxe edition has that Sticks and Stones, which Albarn lets Colton be the lead vocal. I don't know if he lets him. I'm just saying Colton is the lead vocal. I would love to hear that track. I was not able to hear it without leaving the record and going to search for it. But I highly recommend Blur's Ballad of Darren. Next, we'll go to Bishop Briggs, When Everything Went Dark. When the River single came out, you kind of knew she had something, right? This is that alternative with that beat drop. She's a definitely unique voice. She's got that gospel meets alternative, but she has this wild range. And sometimes that wild range, to me, wrecks the delivery. Not wrecks it, I guess. I don't know. It throws it off guard. But let's talk about some. She's 2 albums deep here. All right. Her name is not Bishop Briggs. Her name is actually Sarah McLachlan. But obviously she can't use that name because there's already somebody in the music industry who's fairly popular with it. So what does she do? She actually puts on a Medusa mask and winds up winning The Masked Singer this year. Stretch, cool. I thought it was. She totally caught me off guard a little bit, although there was a familiarity I just couldn't bring myself to. I kept thinking she was Kesha because Kesha has that wild, all over the place range. Just couldn't get that out of my head. So, well, while an EP is not a fair way to judge a complete album that's probably forthcoming, Bishop Briggs has maintained that rawness she has in Signature. But I'm still feeling it's detrimental to the overall delivery of songs here in some cases. Let me explain. Remember Church of Scars? That still resonates with me. It still has a level of attachment to lyrics, and her vocals match wonderfully in the alternative flex that goes on. I mean, I like Champion. I listened to it, but I don't remember any of the tracks except two. Those two got 50 million streams, but that album didn't sell well. So obviously there's an attention to detail, not to detail, but an attention to the entire album that's not quite there. And that, I believe, is still that vocalization that kind of changes how songs are delivered. What it means is that it's more important to me, while the music, the beat drop, that alternativeness of it is so well done, that studio musician production is great. It's the catchy part, but the delivery of the flow of the vocals sometimes out issues it all. What do I mean? Because that's everything, right? No, I think in some cases she's overpowering the song with maybe too much vocal fluctuation. Like she's overstepping it a bit on some tracks. Let's talk about Superhuman, which is probably the best written of this tracks on this. Where the gospel of her vocal hails, it's more gentle, makes it more revealing and easier to connect with to the melody. And music is an example of an execution that I enjoyed tremendously. Bad, the song, is a better example of how I'm kind of torn with how it works and might not work. The song, the love of it, and the music is clever, but the emotion is sometimes caught off guard by the imbalance of vocals. Is it too much or overstated? I'm still going with it that it's a good thing, but I'm looking forward to where the final album might fall. Fans of Kesha, Billie Eilish, and K-Play, they're going to like stuff like this. And of course, anyone who followed Bishop Briggs is going to find a lot to work with here in 16 minutes of an EP. But I think they're going to be jonesing, sort of like I am, for the finished product. And now, let's move to Greta Van Fleet. Well, I've never disputed the vocal of Josh. It's an amazing vocal. However, it kind of has its own wheelhouse, and it seems like the rest of the music is put around it. That's where this album doesn't quite do that. I think they're listening to what I'm trying to say. While the range of it matches in the era of rock that's probably the most coveted by people in my over middle-aged bracket, raise my hand, I keep wondering, would they ever be able to find something in a modern lower register or even bass driven? In comes what I feel is an album that does test this a bit here and there. The band even has a harmonica part to it that I'll talk about later, and a little keyboard. Again, I want everyone to be assured that if that band that they sound like was not from the past, we probably would maybe not having this conversation. But considering that that band did exist and they're tremendous on that large of scale blues composition, ultimately delivering song after song and album after album with all kinds of variety, that's why we're having this conversation. Let's also be real that the production of this band is much easier than it was in the 70s. And I do hear a lot of intentionalism that I'm wondering might not transfer live very well. Chef Jeff saw them this year with Rival Sons. Hopefully, we'll be on live, our other show, we might be able to talk about, because we have not put that one out there yet. Starcatcher. This is my favorite album of Greta Van Fleet. The maturity in the lyrics and the flow of the songs has a better grip on my ear for sure, which is obviously led by those soaring vocals. It's hard to ignore them. I know, hell, he doesn't let you ignore them. I feel that the musicianship surrounding it is doing a better job of melody and arrangement. However, the fourth listen, I'm starting to come back to that unfair comparison of that band. There are some keyboards and harmonica that start to filter in that demand some attention. There is no entry that gives you that wow factor, except maybe that of the vocal. Maybe Runaway Blues, which is a little bit faster, starts that possibility, but then they go right back into their old wheelhouse. I would love to hear some breath between the vocals, larger stints. Let's say the drummer kicks some ass. Maybe the bassist gets a groove on. How does a song start? Doesn't always have to start right away. Hear Indigo Streak. That's what I'm talking about. It's the last half of the album that seems to understand what saving rock might sound like, as if there's a good and there's a great guitar solo in Frozen Light. It's the Archer that grabs me the most here, letting me know that they have some hint of modernization and progression that might actually lead away from this sticking that vocal all the time. Let the band develop the emotion, the riff, that hook. That's where it is for me. And I have a suspicion or hope that they're going to find that. I really do. It's certainly compelling that they might reach that level. You know, you probably know this band, Led Zeppelin. There, I said it. They kind of sound like, kind of have a bit of Journey, have a bit of Deep Purple and Cactus. Let's just name a few bands from the 70s. I also understand the Rush vocal comparison in some cases. If you're a 70s rock lover, if you don't know who they are already, you're going to love the record. I'm in there with you this time more than ever. I've got a better feeling on this Detroit rock band now, as well as what they do next to become their own masters. You know what I did there? If you don't, pick up the record because one of the songs has master in it. Okay, so let's do a few fun ones here just to throw them in. I did listen to Body Count, Carnivore, which I listened to back in 2020. I didn't have the deluxe edition at the time. Guess what? In the deluxe edition, there was an instrumental of Carnivore. They just released that this week. So for those who aren't familiar, this is a rock band, well, rap metal band in 2020, a release from 2020. They've been around quite some time, and this album, I think they were really pissed off and angsted at the social softness of people. And they deliver it with heavy tracks, guest appearances like Amy Lee. But the real fans bought that deluxe edition probably, and they had that instrumental. They were treated to a complete version of the entire record without vocal. And I don't know if they actually changed in the arrangements, but I do know that they did take the Motorhead Ace of Spades cover out and put in 6 a.m. 6 a.m. Oh, wow. What was the name of it? 6 a.m. in the morning. That's right. Which was a deluxe edition add-on. They had 2 more live bonus tracks. So it is a rockin' metal record. If you love metal and no singing, you're going to dig it completely. And maybe it might even, if you're not a big fan of Body Count, it may get you to listen to hear what it sounds like with the vocals, especially with Ice-T and Amy Lee, because it's a barn burner, no question. So be aware that I would be a liar if I didn't tell you that I was really looking forward to this particular album. I am a huge Police fan. I love every record. I love everything about it. They deliver such, I don't know, honest rock, punk, jazz. And these boys know what they're doing. And there's not too many mistakes by Sting. And that goes equally for Andy Summers. And I have Stuart Copeland projects in my collection that still are dandy to this day. He still reigns as definitely a drummer to be reckoned with. And in compositions for television, movie soundtracks and stuff, he's got a list of them there that would blow your mind. However, when it comes to anyone who has attempted to make the Police an orchestra, they have failed. Sting tried to do it with symphonicities. Didn't reach my ear. And now Stuart Copeland has done the same thing with his version, Stuart Copeland's Police Deranged for Orchestra, or Deranged. First of all, I think the first mistake is female singers. I don't get it. They're not even that good. They seem to be more than average, which to pull off something that Sting has done and your group has done seems a little bit off to me. Next, the orchestra means nothing to me. There's nothing profound about it. It doesn't over-deliver, under-deliver. It just delivers. It's almost like going to a concert and hearing the same album again instead of anything different or something that changes the sound. Police to Jazz is exceptional. And obviously Sting's career will tell you that. And Andy Summers. Are there going to be people out there that say this is mind-blowing and oh my God, they're really digging it and shit? Yep, there are. I've heard them. I've seen them on YouTube. I don't understand it. So if you can help me understand it, please like, comment, so that I can hear and understand what people are saying. I had this in my earbuds on a 5-hour ride home, and it took every ounce of me not to press stop and put something else in. I had to hear it till the very end. I mean, what do you say? It's one of my least favorite, overly anticipated albums of the year. It is not the worst album of the year. I'll reveal that in December. I don't think anything's going to top what I heard a few weeks ago. So we're on the web, as you know, at www.beyondyourradio.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Yeah, we even dropped some stuff on LinkedIn to lead you here. Please like, subscribe. We're really looking forward to having interactions with more people. And if you want to become a panelist, reach out to me. I need minions. I need people like-minded like me. Ooh, maybe the world doesn't. I'm not sure. Anyway, this is Album Review Saturdays. This was number 19. I thank you for obviously watching, and I hope that you learned something about a few albums today that you may or may not listen to. Actually, when it comes down to it, you should listen to every record. I'm giving you an opinion, but I'm trying to, lead you in a way that might say whether it's in your wheelhouse or not. Remember, all opinions are not the same. People are listening to things in a different ear and tone, and of course, where they came in and out of the band and knowing the band and knowing the recording. Thank you as always, and happy listening.